Hey, everybody, welcome to the Soccer Sharps, a soccer betting podcast. Jordan, we returned for the weekend betting action. We've got all kinds of leagues, we got tons of matches, everything's happening. Stick around, baby, here we go.
Martial, Herrera, Ibrahimovic! Oh my God, an insane goal! I'll just say the most insane goal I have ever seen on a football pitch. Balotelli, Aguero!
That's right, we are live, Jordan. We are back to break down this weekend's action after a thrilling Champions League week, although not a very profitable one for you and I. Wasn't our best capping show, but boy, was it fun to watch. How did that final match day treat you, Jordan?
Yeah, Dev, as you say, entertaining. I thought it was a lot of fun with all the pipping that was going on. Every goal scored seemed to have permutations throughout the table. That was a lot of fun. I mentioned it on the last show that I thought it would be more fun than it was last season, and it seemed to be the case. Like, I don't remember it being that exciting on match day 8 last season.
Yeah, I don't remember a goalkeeper getting a header into the final action of the match to advance the
Okay.
team.
So I missed that in real time.
Okay.
Why was he up there when they were already ahead? Why did they bring the
Because
keeper up?
they needed goal differential.
Mm,
They were tied on goal difference, and so they were behind, I think, Bilbao or Marseille, and well, both of those teams ended up dropping out. But Benfica, because of goal difference, they had to win by 2.
wow.
Uh,
That makes it even more epic. I didn't realize that.
Oh, it was incredible. And it was seemed like they didn't even know that they had to get more because they were like making subs and guys were like walking off the field and the crowd started going nuts and the announcer's like, "Well, they don't know. They don't know. They need another goal." And then all of a sudden Jose's like telling them to go really fast to get off the pitch. Just incredible scenes.
Yeah.
Truly magical.
Unreal.
Moments.
It's great that it happens in the age of, the cell phone and whatnot. Like if this were in the 90s and it was a match day like this, you just have to see what happened. But
Right.
yeah, Dev, it wasn't great. Kind of disappointing though. Like I feel like a lot of our reads were right, but we just did not get the bounce of the ball to go our way. A lot of teams just really shambolic. Dembele missing a penalty for PSG, that was irritating. They were wasteful. Galatasaray just not showing up at all. Marseille not showing up at all. Just weak mentality merchants. But look, we flush it. Knockouts are coming, baby, and we can't wait for those. But we got more domestic league action to deal with here. We go again.
That's right, Jordan. And in the chat already, Major Gains popping off saying, "Hey yo, he's here." So good time to let you guys know if you are in the chat, if you are watching live, hop on in. Tell us your plays. Tell us what you're thinking. What did you think of the Champions League? That was crazy. A lot of fun stuff going on. But let's move on, Jordan. We've got
Dev, I just want to holler at, I believe this Major Gains is in our Discord server and had quite a nice day today in Europa. So props to you, Major Gains, assuming you're the same guy. But yeah, it's another time to mention.
Are getting
Jump.
Major Gains.
That's true. Do jump into our Discord. If you're new to the show, you'll find a link to our Discord server in the description of this podcast or video, however you're consuming it. Free to join. Come in there. Lots of guys giving out plays. It's a good time.
Right on, Jordan. Well, let's move on to the weekend's matchups. Starting in the Premier League, we're taking a look at Liverpool against Newcastle United. This one sees Liverpool as home favorites, 3/4 of a goal, and the total is set at a flat 3. Most of the juice on the under at this point. Jord, these two teams did play in the midweek, and Newcastle incredibly drawing with PSG, sinking our bet, but it didn't do them much good. Both of those teams staying in the making the next round, but not getting the bye. Liverpool annihilating Quarabaj 6-0 to guarantee their spot in the bye round of games. And they scored plenty of goals, but they didn't give any up, which would have helped me with my both teams to score there. Would have been nice to hit something. Quarabaj, Liverpool, you're up 6-0. You couldn't have like given up a little bit, stopped trying. Let a goal in somewhere. Couldn't do it for me. Anyway, Jordan, these two teams face off, and let's be honest, they don't really care for each other.
No, they don't, Dev. And we have seen some thrilling matches between these sides in recent seasons. Liverpool actually, at Anfield anyway, a bit of a bogey team for Newcastle. If you look at the head-to-heads going way back, it's all Liverpool wins and draws. Couple of draws. It's mostly wins. A few draws sprinkled in here and there. Newcastle just cannot win at Anfield. In the league, at least. I know Newcastle did just beat Liverpool in the EFL Cup, of course, but in the league, Liverpool are quite imperious, and we've talked about it all season long, that Newcastle are not great travelers. Of course, that went into our handicap when we took PSG in the midweek. Again, Dembele makes that penalty, we at least push out. So, yeah, didn't get the luck there, but I don't think Newcastle getting a point in Paris is putting me off of the fact that I don't think they travel well. And boy, Liverpool have to be riding high on confidence here, right? They just put 6 past a team, and admittedly, it's Quarbage, like, congratulations. But just for the psychology, Mo Salah's scoring free kicks again. McAllister's getting involved. Verts scored again. The link up between Verts and Ekatike, it's really looking good. And then you look at some of the results, like the 1-1 at Anfield with Burnley. You're going, what the hell happened there? But they battered Burnley in that match. Absolutely battered them. 32 shots, tons of XG, just didn't get the second goal. They were deserving of it, though. So, you look at some blemishes like that, and, you don't want to be too harsh on them for it. So I think really it's a confidence thing coming off of that 6-0, and they were at home in that one, correct? Yeah, so didn't have to travel like Newcastle did. So back-to-back road trips for Newcastle, already traveling poorly. I don't want to complicate this one, Dev. I'm going for Liverpool on the nose here. Little juicy, -134. You can get it about -125 on other books that don't offer early payout. But why would you do that when an early payout exists? Because we've seen Liverpool go up 2-0 and another team come roaring back. So I would play the money line if you were interested in that on a book with early payout. So that's where I'm going. I have a double dip, though, Dev. I got another play for the game. And I'm just taking over 10.5 corners in the match. Both of these teams seeing over 10.5 corners in several matches apiece. I should have pulled up the stats in front of me. But processing.
Well, I got bad news for you, Jordan.
What's that?
Because I'm on Liverpool as well. I got Liverpool on the money line here. Look.
Terrible.
Yeah, it's a bad sign. We're on the same play. Especially
Which is funny because that used to be our show. We only gave out plays that we both agreed on and did quite well. Now we give out a play that we're both on. It's a guaranteed loser.
Well, if that asshole Dembele, that was our last play that we agreed on, was the PSG -1.
Yeah, true.
I don't know. That was just frustrating. And then you had Kvaratskhelia go out or pretty early in that game. And he's one of their best players, especially attacking. So when he went out, it was like, okay, well, Doué's here. He can do something. And then game just kind of slowed down, at least in terms of opportunities. But at some point, this Newcastle team, we know they're thin. We've been saying it all year. They're playing multiple games back to back. They had to go to Paris. Now they're going to Anfield. That's a really tough 2-game stretch. Yes, Liverpool also played midweek, but they were at home. And like you said, it was a cakewalk. So I give the rest advantage to Liverpool here. So I'm going to go with that money line. Little juicy, -134. I'm fine with that. Another way I think you could take this is maybe just do the Liverpool team total over 1.5. It's -150. So it's a little juicy, but this team seems like they're really figuring out how to play together offensively now. So I could just definitely see them scoring twice. And you pay a little juice, and then you don't worry about what Newcastle does. But yeah, Jordan,
I can see.
Do you have the corner stuff in front of you?
I do, and I could see goals in this one for sure. In the head-to-heads, we have seen over 2.5 in 5 of the last 6 meetings, with both teams scoring 5 of the last 6 as well. So I could see goals in this one. I did consider that team total as well, -150 being the shortest price we're allowed to play, a self-imposed rule on this show here. But yeah, Dev, on the corners, over 10.5 corners in 4 of the last 5 matches for Liverpool and 6 of the last 8 for Newcastle. Liverpool have been covering this total on their own in their last 2 matches, putting up 14 and 11 corners themselves, respectively. So, yeah, but here we need both teams to contribute. So I feel pretty good about it, especially with the way the team is set up.
Yeah, and how will Newcastle set up for this one? Because we know on the road they can be a very different team. And I mentioned it last time, but they're banged up in the midfield. Didn't seem to affect them against Paris, but we'll see who starts this one against Liverpool, Jordan. But let's move on because we've got more matches to cover. This one taking place in in London. It's Tottenham Hotspur hosting Manchester City. This one sees Spurs as home dogs with 3/4 of a goal, and the total is set at a flat 3. Jord, in this one, team total, Spurs to score twice here is at plus 200. They're at home. Solanke's back. He got on the score sheet against Frankfurt in the midweek. And, you know, to get another one somewhere, can they get somewhere? They're at home at 2-1. Seems like a decent value here. But Manchester City taking care of Galatasaray. Spurs taking care of Frankfurt in the midweek, and both of these teams getting into the top 8, getting that bye week. So what do you think about this matchup here, Jordan?
Yeah, and doing it in different ways. I found out that Spurs, well, they did finish top 8. They didn't play anybody that ended up finishing in the top 24. I believe that's right. Or I'm sorry, that ended up finishing above 19th is what it was. So pretty
it's like the Patriots this year.
Right. Yeah. The easy schedule. So, yeah, Dev, you said it. Like Spurs should be able to score here, right? We were saying that Man City, they're letting in goals now, but suddenly they're clean sheet merchants again. God, it's frustrating. So now they're not conceding. I guess the defense is fixed. Small sample size, last couple of games, but 2-0 to Wolves, 2-0 to Galatasaray. Comes back to one of our auto plays with City when they were good. The Man City to win in under 4.5 goals, just taking care of business, 2-3-0. That's how they're looking lately. But Dev, a lot of conflicting data here, right? Because it's Spurs at home, where Spurs are supposed to be well, not supposed to be. They're terrible this season under Thomas Frank. Dreadful at home at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Man City on the nose there, minus 143 on the money line, kind of tempting when you look at that. But then there's also this DNA of Spurs being a bogey team for Man City. Thomas Frank already beat Man City in the league this season in the reverse fixture. That was at the Etihad, obviously. And this dates back to when Nuno was in charge, when Postecoglou was in charge, when Mourinho was in charge. Spurs have done well against Man City for whatever reason. So there's too much conflicting data for me here, Dev, because I can't touch Spurs, but I'm afraid of the bogey teamness, and I don't know what City are doing right now. There's too much change going on. So I went digging, Dev. I went digging into the props on this one, and I came up with a player prop that I think is tempting enough that I played it. I'm going with Christian Romero, Spurs captain, to have a shot. Not a shot on target, just a shot in the match. Coming in at minus 115, best price available. Look, he only averages. Thank you.
That's a really good play.
I appreciate that. He only averages 0.83 shots per 90 in the Premier League this season, but that takes into account the whole season. If you were to cut that down into his last, 6 to 10 games, the number goes up exponentially. He's in very good form right now. The guy chips in with crucial goals for Spurs, like more often than you would think for a center back. Not quite to like Gabriel levels, but not far off it. He's a problem in the box. When they're behind, he starts pushing up forward and actually becomes like a, ancillary striker, kind of like Harry Maguire sometimes did for Amorim. And he's always given himself a green light, whether it's from a set piece or he's like, they're struggling to break teams down. He comes marauding forward, just pops a shot off from somewhere. That's all we need him to do. It can go flying into the crowd for all we care. Just one shot for Romero, given the form he's in right now, given the fact he likes to put the team on his back. That's going to be my play for this one. Just that player prop.
I think that's a really good one. You brought up the way Romero plays is that almost like additional striker. He seems to have more freedom now because I think Frank recognizes that they can't score goals. So he's letting him just kind of do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah,
Team
Van de
captain.
Ven and Romero actually have are joint top scorers for Spurs this this season. There's some attacker that has as many as them, but so there are 3 joint top scorers across all competitions, and 2 of them are your center backs. That's
Hmm.
terrible.
Yeah, I look in this one. You think that Solanke's starting to play more. He is really key. I mean, he's been impressive the way he presses up top, the way he can get onto balls and create goals, of course. Um, but in this one, it looks like they're going to be without Van de Ven. Um, and City, on the City side of this, they get back 2 players that they can't play in Champions League yet, which is Mark Gahey, their new signing at center back. They desperately need reinforcements in their back line, and Semenyo playing up top as an attacker. I elected to go with City to win the game here. They're favored by 3/4, so I'm just taking them down a quarter here to win. It's -143, so I tacked on the play you mentioned before, George, which is the under 4.5. So City and under 4.5. Spurs wins in the Champions League have really papered over their results in the Premier League, which have been garbage. So they won against Frankfurt. They won against Dortmund. They drew at Burnley. Bad result. They lost to West Ham outright. Bad result. Eliminated in the FA Cup by Aston Villa. Bad result. Lost to Bournemouth. Drew Sunderland. Drew Brentford. Now they got to play City. Can they punch above their weight? Maybe. You mentioned the bogey team aspect. I think there is something to that, but at the end of the day, Man City should have more, just should have more and enough to beat this Spurs team. And if they're going to make some kind of push here, they have to do it. Frank's on the hot seat. It's not really a question of if he gets fired, it's kind of like when. So I don't know. I just think you got to be on the City side of this, but I don't want to lay the 3/4, so I'm going to go with the City money line and under 4.5, Jordan.
Yeah, I think it's fair enough, Dev. I mean, if you throw out all the historical stuff, it's the right side to be on based on current form, right? So can't begrudge you that, and I wish you luck.
Yes, Jordan. Well, in the chat, we have Jack who says, why do you think Spurs are so poor in the Prem but good in the Champions League? Is it really the quality of the opposition in the Champions League?
Well, that's part of it. That's part of why they finished top 8, right? Playing no one above 19th. That'll help. But, you mentioned a couple of good teams in there. Dortmund, for instance.
Helped by
Of
a red
course.
card in the 25th minute. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true too. Got some luck there. And I think that's just like a psychological thing after a while. Like I remember when West Ham were in the Europa League, we started to do terribly in the league, in the Prem. But then you get this reset like every Thursday where it's like a different competition, a different place. You're going to different places. You're away from the toxicity of your fans getting on your back as soon as a goal goes in, something like that. I think it really can have an impact. So maybe just more of a mental reset.
Yeah, and I think that the first point he makes there, which is just how good the Premier League is. Like we really saw it of the top 8, 5 of the teams in the Champions League were all Premier League teams. Um, and Newcastle being the 6th team that didn't make the automatic buys was still, I think, in the top 12 or so. Um, because, and then you look at the Premier League itself, like the middle tier teams are really good. The bottom tier teams are really good. There's, only a couple of points separating 10 spaces in the middle of the table in the Premier League. So I think we're just seeing how the revenue uh, difference is really catching up to these European sides.
Yeah.
Good question there. Thanks for chiming into the chat, guys. And let's move on to our next matchup. It's Leeds United against Arsenal. This one sees Leeds as home dogs of a full goal +1. The total set at 2.5. George, both teams to score even money. All the juice on the no side of that at -134. Leeds to score once, -138. Interesting matchup here, George. I feel like Leeds are getting a little bit undervalued here. What do you think about this matchup?
Well, yeah, we talked about it on the last show, right? That Arsenal, for whatever reason, aren't keeping those imperious clean sheets that they were at the start of the season. Remember, everyone was talking about how they haven't even allowed a shot on target through like 9 games or whatever it was. Don't quote me on that. I don't know the exact number, but I remember that being a talking point. We know they're a really good defense still to this day. Part of it is due to possessing the ball. And, if the other team doesn't have the ball, they can't score on you, but also because they have very good defenders. But these knuckleheads are letting in goals left and right, Dev. They don't let in more than one typically, but I think I outlined on the last show that they'd only kept one clean sheet in the Prem for the last month. And look, even Kairat got on the board twice. So Kairat put 2 past him. Man, you put 3 past him the other day. Inter got on the score sheet. No shame there, really. You really have to go back. There was the 3-2 with Liam Rossinior's Chelsea. I think that was his first match in charge. 3-2 there. Even Portsmouth got on the board in the FA Cup. Portsmouth, Dev. So Leeds at home with this sort of rejuvenated system that Farka's figured out going to the back 3. They've looked really good since then, and they're competitive in all these matches. Ellen Road is a tough place to go. We know that. You're giving me even money for both teams to score. Yes, that's what I'm taking.
Right on, Jordan. Well, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with that lead spread plus a full goal. I think a full goal for a home team is just something I have to take. I like betting dogs, getting the number, and at home it's just too big, Jordan. Because this Arsenal team, we saw them slip up last week against a resurgent Man United. Um, maybe Man United are really good now, and they looked really good in that game. But you start to get that sense of like, is Arsenal like nervy? Do they have that like, oh, it's coming towards the end of the season. We're gonna lose the title again and become in second. They're not beating teams by huge margins, and Leeds is a team that it can be plucky underdog, right? They got results twice against Liverpool. Excuse me, getting draws against them home and away. Uh, they beat Chelsea, and when they do lose to the bigger sides like Man City or Newcastle, it's only by 1 goal. So I think getting that +1 is fairly good value for this, and especially with Arteta on the road, like to set up a little more conservatively. I could see him doing that here and just trying to protect their lead if they, assuming they do get one. So yeah, give me that +1 -108. I think if both teams do score, if your play hits, then I think Leeds will be in good shape to at least get me a push there, Jordan.
I think that's fair enough, Dev. I like it.
All right, let's move on to our next matchup. It's Chelsea hosting West Ham United. Jordan, this one sees Chelsea as home favorites of a full goal -1. The total set at a flat 3. And Jordan, it's your Hammers on the road at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea securing their place in the top 8 for the Champions League, defeating Napoli in Naples. And now they welcome crosstown rivals West Ham. What do you think about this matchup, Jordan?
Well, I'm looking forward to it, Dev. Both of these teams in decent form right now. West Ham putting together some wins, back-to-back wins to move them up into the relegation zone still. So they still sit 5 points adrift. But look, the mentality's getting better. Confidence is coming back. They're scoring goals, which is always important in a relegation scrap. And winning breeds confidence. Obviously, West Ham going down is not going to be, determined by going away to Stamford Bridge. They're +500 on the money line. Chelsea -200 favorites here. Obviously, they're not expected to win. So I think they'll just take this. I hope that they'll take this as an exercise in seeing what they can get. Seeing how much confidence is within the squad now, and Nuno's tactics finally starting to work. They've made a couple of signings that have made a difference. Tati Castellanos and Pablo Felipe. These aren't prolific strikers. They're not scoring goals, but they're occupying center backs and allowing the wingers like Bowen and Somerville to cook. And that's what's happening here. So I think they can cause problems to this Chelsea team. The Chelsea have not been convincing at the back. I'm not sure what Rossinior was doing in the midweek against Napoli with his backline selection. Reece James playing center back with Malo Gusto flanking him. That was odd. And then he didn't change it, even though they were clearly having issues defensively in that first half. Look, they won the game, so fair play to him. But I'd be concerned about that. I doubt he goes with that again, but something to keep an eye on. Even when he started, square pegs and square holes, and it has been something that you're used to seeing, they have been pretty leaky. We already talked about one of their games, the 3-2 with Arsenal. Of course, they just played a 3-2 with Napoli in the midweek. You can score on Chelsea. And with West Ham having this confidence and having goals inside now, the first thing I looked at for this was both teams scoring over 2.5, coming in -105. I think that's a good price. That may make my card in addition to what I'm going to give out here. But one thing I've been clocking as a West Ham supporter, watching all of these matches, is that West Ham are coming out of the traps hot. They get up for these games at the beginning, and if they can score early, they tend to get a result these days under Nuno, and they have been doing that lately. In these past few wins, they have scored the first goal, and they've been really good in these first halves. Get some complacency, some tired legs, maybe tired minds towards the end of the games, and then other teams do come back into it. So what I decided to do with this, I thought about a couple of different ways. West Ham to score first, +175. I do like that. It's been happening a lot for them lately. I should also point out that these matches between these two are pretty fiercely contested. Chelsea have gotten the better of West Ham, certainly more times than not, but we do tend to see some entertaining matches when they meet. It is a London derby, after all. But yeah, so West Ham to score first, +175. That also might make my card, but what I decided to do was be a little safer and take the +150 price for West Ham to score in the first half. So West Ham first half team total over 0.5, coming in at +150. I like that. Then they don't need to score first, as long as they can come out of the traps hot and try to blitz this Chelsea team, take it to them. They know they're coming back from a tough road trip. Why not go for it? They're not expected to get something from the match. See what you can do. So, yeah, West Ham first half team total, +150.
Don Jordan, it's a bold play. I like it. This Chelsea team, all we really know about for senior right now is that they want to play. They want to keep the ball in the grass, play out from the back, and they've got just so much attacking talent, but they are lacking in the back end, as you mentioned. Reece James played center back. That was a surprise, let's just say. But I was on Chelsea's team total, one of the few plays we actually won in the Champions League in midweek. So I think they're pretty solid here, but I don't really care about what side does what here, Jordan. I'm just going for the goals here. Over 3, -114. It's hit in 5 straight. Well, it hasn't hit. They've reached over 2.5 in 5 straight head-to-head meetings. We have seen both teams score in Chelsea matches in 8 of the last 10 across all comps. Over 2.5 for West Ham games, 5 of the last 6. Over 2.5, 5 of the last 7 Chelsea matches. And I said head-to-head, it's 5 straight. So I think we can get to at least 3 goals here. Maybe get that fourth, get the cash for it, Jordan.
Yeah, it's fair enough, Dev. I would have advised the both teams to score in over 2.5 for that 2-1, but I do understand your thinking because you're not certain that Hammers score in this one.
No, worried about the 3-0. So if I could get that, at least get a push on that. Because boy, I got burned on a couple both teams scores that didn't come through in the midweek. Got a little gun shy.
Yeah, telling me.
Well, George, let's move on. We've got even more matches here. We've got Manchester United against Fulham. This one sees United as home favorites of a full goal, -1. Total set at 2.75. Jordan, Fulham's been a little frisky in the Premier League, and United all of a sudden 2 big wins for Michael Carrick. And right, they're back, right? They got to be back. What do you think about this matchup?
We're so back. I mean, pretty impressive start for Carrick. And even when he was interim before, I believe he was unbeaten. I think he only played 3 matches at that point, but against some decent teams as well. I think he got a result against Chelsea, Man City again back then. So I don't know. This guy's got the Midas touch. He knows the club. Yeah. Yeah, look, it's looked great, but this talismanic Patrick Dorgu is suddenly hurt. So does that have an impact? It probably does. The guy's been playing out of his mind. Um, I left this one alone, Dev, but not because of Man U and this nice start they've had under Carrick, but more because of Fulham. They're just one of these weird teams, man, where I cannot figure it out. I thought about goals in this one, but then I'm like, man, I could see this being 1-0. You never know with Fulham. They're such a weird team. They can get into these thrilling matches with Man City where it's a 5-4, and then they can just have these like disgusting 0-0s where you're like, what happened here? Like, why is there no creativity? I just saw you guys score 4 goals at the Etihad. Like, what's happening here? So they're on my list. They're a stay away for me this season. I should have like about 35 other teams on that list as well, but I don't. They're one, and I'm passing on this game because of it.
Well, George, you're going to get tired of me saying it. It's goals, baby. Over 2.75 here, George. We've seen over 2.5 in 4 of the last 5 Fulham matches, with both teams scoring in 5 of the last 6. For both of these teams, just watching it, just eye test. Now, United did keep the clean sheet against Man City, but, Man City dominated the ball in that match. This will be a better, I think, indicator of Carrick and what he can do, because we know that Manchester United are good when they play against really good teams that want to possess the ball. They've been that sort of transition counter-attacking team for a while. It's when they come up against teams that'll low block and defend a lot more. Not that Fulham does a low block, but that they are more willing to play without the ball for a while and let United have it. Then they can hit you on the break with the American Anthony Robinson. He's back playing. Love to see it. And they can really hurt you. Harry Wilson has been absolutely incredible for Fulham. He has turned around. He looks like Gareth Bale out there, just to give another Welshman.
Whoa.
It reminds me of. I hope he stays. We got a couple days left in the transfer window. I hope he stays at least to the end of the year for Fulham's sake. But, there's enough attacking talent on both sides. We should see goals here. We saw a ton of goals last weekend in the Premier League. We saw, I think, only 2 matches went under 2.5. Guess which one I had an over on. But if you're willing to buy into some of the streaks, it looks like the goals are coming back in the Premier League, and I think both of these teams should be able to see the back of the net. I thought about both teams score yes and over 2.5. I just decided to go with the over 2.75 here, Jordan, minus 118.
Yeah, definitely. I like an over. I support it because, unlike with an under, the over is never dead.
That is
as long as there's life in the clock, you've got a chance, baby.
Jordan Evan in the chat says that Harry Wilson winner last week was sheesh. I think I pronounced that right. Sheesh.
Yeah, banger.
Yeah, he's been just hitting bangers. Love to see it. Love seeing it. I like this Fulham team. They're fun. They're plucky. Jordan,
and they like Americans too, Dev. Full America.
That's
They've
right.
got a rich history of American players, and they're sniffing around Ricardo Pepi and his broken arm.
Perfect place for him to go with his broken arm. Jordan, well, let's travel over to the mainland, shall we? Over to the Bundesliga. We're taking a look at Hamburg hosting Bayern Munich. This one sees Hamburg as home dog of a goal and 3/4, 1.75. The total is set at 3.5. George, Bayern slipping? We thought maybe they would lose or at least drop points to PSV in the midweek. They ended up winning and eliminating PSV. But before that, they lost to Augsburg in the Bundesliga, their first loss of the entire year, a calendar year, I should say. But George, what do you think about this matchup here with Bayern going to Hamburg?
Yeah, I don't think they're slipping. Sauger gonna Sauger sometimes. And even the best teams, the most elite teams, do lose matches here and there. Arsenal will tell you all about that. It happens. So, look, they're in no danger of not winning the league. They obviously finished in the top 2 for the Champions League, so that's a nice victory for them. Historic season. Company is killing it in this job. So I won't begrudge them a loss to an Augsburg team who can be plucky and score goals. Let me tell you who
Lucky.
don't really score many goals, and that's Hamburg, Dev.
Hamburg.
Happy to see Hamburg back in Bundesliga. It's where they belong. Massive club in Germany. They've been sort of astray in Bundesliga 2 for quite a while, but they're back now in the proper Bundesliga, and I really hope they stay. I hope they stick around, but it's not going to matter what they do in a match like this because there's no chance that they get something from this match. Dev, I'm going back to one of our favorite plays on this podcast since we've been a pod for about 5 years or so. This used to print us money hand over fist, and it's been a while since I've taken it. Bayern Munich to win the match with over 3.5 goals in the match. It's coming in at plus 110. You can just play the over 3.5 at minus 121, but Bayern gonna win. They're gonna win this match. They might score all 4 goals themselves. There's certainly precedent for it. Look, Hamburg coming off of a couple of 0-0 matches. Don't let that fool you. This is Bayern Munich. This is a different beast. Bayern coming off of a loss last time out. It could get ugly here. And the thing is, even if there's rotation, we see it. Musiala's back now. Leonard Carl is in the form of his life. Who's that guy with the funny name? Tom Bischoff. He can come in and do a job. And of course, we've got that front three of Kane, Elise, and Diaz. It's just so many guys that can hurt you. And like one bad day at the office isn't going to put me off the scent here, Dev. So back to one of our old school favorite plays, Bayern and over 3.5 plus 110.
Love it, George. Yeah, the last time out, Bayern won at home against Hamburg 5-0. So I kind of expect something similar. But Hamburg have only scored 17 goals in the league thus far this season. That is tied with St. Pauli and Heidenheim, who are the bottom of the table. So I'm not sure they're going to get on the scoreboard because reverse those numbers. So 17 goals for Hamburg. Turn those around. 71, add 1. That's how many Bayern have scored. 72 goals. Insane.
That's insane.
Jordan, let's move over to another matchup in the Bundesliga. It's Eintracht Frankfurt hosting Bayer Leverkusen. This one sees Frankfurt as home dogs of 1/4 of a goal. Total set at a flat 3. Jordan, both these teams were Champions League teams, played in the midweek. Frankfurt failed to do anything against Tottenham. Pathetic. Didn't show up. I was so irritated. This team, well, I'll tell you, I'm sure, in a minute here. And then Leverkusen, with a nice little victory, they will be advancing to the next round. But Jordan, what do you think about this matchup with these two facing off?
Well, Dev, the first thing I go to is there will probably be goals in this match. And I think Leverkusen probably win because Frankfurt are kind of in a shambles. Look, we talked about on the last show, they sacked Dino Topmaler because his games were just too intense, too chaotic, too many goals. They were scoring goals, but they were conceding way too many. And that's not a recipe for success. So they got rid of him. They brought in Dennis Schmidt. And the Schmidt era, Dev, I don't know enough about it. I'm not sure that he's able to fix the leakiness this quickly. So you probably want to be on the side of Leverkusen here or just take the goals. But often some of these managers, especially when they're brought in with their remit being make us be less leaky, please. We're conceding too many goals. The first thing they like to iron out is that defense. So could you get something cagey and weird here? I don't know. I decided to leave it alone until we get a bigger sample size of Dennis Schmidt. What are you saying?
Yeah, I'm going with the goals again, Jordan. I'm not thrown off the scent by Spurs coming in, Set Piece FC Jr. coming in and like barely being able to score twice and then just shutting it all down because they're garbage. I hate Tottenham. The Frankfurt side of this, yeah, they're bad. Let me tell you how bad they are, Jordan. They've conceded as many goals as the bottom-ranked team in the Bundesliga. So they're tied for most goals conceded on the season. And yet, they've scored the 3rd most in the Bundesliga. It's happening at both ends. I assume it's going to continue that way against this Leverkusen side who are really finding their form now. The American Malik Tillman, he a problem. He's scored twice in their Champions League matchup. And look, Leverkusen need the points here. They're currently sitting in 6th. they got to get as many points as they can to try to catch Stuttgart, Leipzig, those teams above them. So when you look at these two teams head-to-head meetings, over 2.5 goals in 7 straight. Both teams scored in 6 of those 7. And Leverkusen have won 6 straight against Frankfurt. New manager, he's had a few games now. It's not like it's like a full new manager bounce. So maybe he changes up the tactics or how they're doing things defensively. But I still think this can get to at least 3, Jordan. Minus 120. I'm willing to take it over 3 goals.
Yeah, I think it's fair enough, Dev. It's the Bundesliga, after all.
Indeed. Well, let's move over to La Liga, which loosely translates to the league. We're taking a look at Athletic Club Bilbao hosting Real Sociedad. This one is the Basque Derby. I'm getting confused because on the card it says El Derby Vasco.
El Derby Vasco.
Basco.
The Basco.
And I forget that the B's in Spanish are sort of pronounced V's, so it's a linguistic thing you got to get around. Anyway, George, this one, Bilbao at home here, quarter of a goal favorites. Total is set at a low 2.25. Both teams to score yes and no. Even sides here at minus 110 both ways. So what do you think about this matchup here, George?
Yeah, Deb, that's exactly right. El Derby Vasco. Vasco. Essentially saying Basque, because the V is a B. You're absolutely right, Deb. El Derby Basque is what we're dealing with here, Deb, but Basco reminds me of the Seinfeld episode where Costanza won't share his passcode for the ATM or whatever because it's Bosco and he doesn't want anyone to know it. And Peterman says, George, you're obviously lying. Anyone can see that. Unreal.
Deep pull. Deep
pull.
Love it.
Bosco. So, yeah, Dev, this one is, one of the most intense derbies in España. And the Basque region, very prideful about their football. These are their 2 premier sides. But it's a unique rivalry in that there's not really a lot of hatred. They actually often celebrate together. It's actually referred to often as the friendly, because it's just like we're all celebrating our Basque heritage, and this is awesome. We have 2 teams. Anyway, so it's not the kind of like blood and guts, tons of yellow cards and sending offs that you see in other derbies. It's a little more elegant. It's a mixed bag in terms of being cagey, having unders, and having goals. But Dev, the form of these 2 teams right now, goals everywhere. One of my easiest cashes in the midweek, one of my few cashes, was on the Bilbao match against Sporting, where I took over 2.5 goals. That cashed in 28 minutes. This team can't defend, but they do have quality going forward. And with Sociedad, same thing. That's what we're seeing with these teams right now. Look, over 2.5 goals, 6 of the last 6 Bilbao matches in all competitions. Over 2.5 goals, 4 of the last 5 for Sociedad in all comps. Both teams to score for Bilbao, 5 of the last 5. Both teams to score for Sociedad, 8 of the last 8. It's wild, Dev. The last match, the reverse fixture of this, when we saw it at Sociedad, ended 3-2 to Sociedad. 5 goals. And they're lining this at 2.25? Excuse me? Like, I know it's a derby, but I just explained this derby is not like the others. I think we see goals in this one, Dev. And I thought about just taking it where it was, over 2.25. Thought about the both teams to score yes. But I decided to move it up for a little alt line here, Dev, over 2.5, because it's coming in, Dev, at plus 125. With the kind of data I just rattled off, yeah, can't pass that up. Plus 125 for over 2.5 goals. If you want to get really greedy and tack on both teams to score in over 2.5, that's coming in at plus 150. Wouldn't put anyone off it because I don't see which of these teams is keeping the other out. And I think we get an entertaining match here. So let's go over 2.5 plus 125.
Wow. Yeah, George, looking at some of the underlying numbers here, Athletic Club Bilbao, haters will say, well, they've only scored 20 goals on the year through 21 matches in the La Liga. That's no good. Well, they've underperformed their XG by 11.5. They should have scored
That's wild.
31.64 goals. They only have 20 recorded. So I think you're right. I think you're onto something here. They should be getting more goals. And in this sort of friendly derby of sorts, I could absolutely see that. So I wish you luck with that one, Jordan. But look, that's going to cover all of our matches for this week. Thank you guys so much for following along. If you made it this far, please consider giving us a like, a follow, a subscribe, wherever you're listening or watching this podcast. Give us a review. Leave us a review and give us 5 stars. We'll read it out on the show. It really helps us out, so we do appreciate that. But Jordan, before we get out of here, there's something we got to do.
We do indeed, Dev, sadly, because it's one thing to talk about these matches, and it's quite another to put our money where our mouths are and pay the bookie.
Chuck, I'm going to tell you something. You have that fucking 200 in my hands tomorrow. If you ain't got the 200 in my fucking hands tomorrow, I'll break every fucking bone in your body.
Well, as the bookie speaks, we go ahead and put up our official plays on the screen here, Jordan. I'll read them out for the listeners. Liverpool on the money line, -134. George's on that one too. What could go wrong? Manchester City on the money line, parlayed with under 4.5 in the Tottenham match, +110. Leeds United, +1 on the Asian handicap, -108. Chelsea against your West Ham United, Jordan, over 3 at -114. Man United Fulham over 2.75, -118. Frankfurt Leverkusen over 3 at -121. I'm going for goals, Jordan. That's the way I'm looking this week. What do you got?
Going for goals. Hell yeah, Deb. Look at all these plays we got. Love to see it. As you mentioned, I'm also on Liverpool money line, -134. Also in that match, Liverpool Newcastle to have over 10.5 corners in the match at -120. In Man City Spurs, I'm going with Christian Romero, Spurs captain, to have 1 or more shots in the match. Just shots.
Love it. Love
-115. Thanks, bro. Leeds United, Arsenal, both teams to score. Yes, I got it at a slightly better price than our card showed, +102. West Ham United, Irons, to score in the first half at +150 as they travel to Stamford Bridge. Bayern Munich money line and over 3.5 goals at +110. And finally, Del Derby Vasco, Athletic Club and Sociedad over 2.5 goals at +125.
Come on, Jordan. Lots of plus money there. We love to see it. Thank you guys so much for listening, watching, all those things. Jordan, any last words for the people?
Just to remind everyone, gambling's supposed to be fun. Don't let it ruin your day. Don't let it ruin your weekend. Don't let it ruin your life. Don't take out a second mortgage on these clowns, these missing penalty clowns. Kidding me? Gonna let that ruin you? Manage your bankroll. Bet responsibly. Have fun with it. We got a lot of soccer left to be played. We got a World Cup coming up. So take it easy, tread lightly, and have some fun, huh? Let's make some money.
Let's make some money.
Martial.